Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the hopeful members of the elect, Allah Bacharim of the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last end times, and to be the ruling, governing body of the nation of Yasha'Allah. I want to go into a few things. The first thing is black student found hanging from tree at Delta State University. All right. And hey, these Edomites, they have a perpetual hatred towards you Jakes. Jake, short for Jacob. That's our forefather, one of the patriarchs of the nation of Israel. He had 12 sons, which they are the 12 patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, which consist of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And also we have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Many of us looking like other nations, all right, not some, actually many, okay. Black, white, those were social constructs created in West Virginia in 1684, giving credit to Elder Malcolm of the Chicago branch of GMS, okay? But Esau, Edom, which are the self-proclaimed white race or Caucasians, they have a perpetual hatred towards you Jakes, man. All right, and hey, when I saw this, hey, Judah's gonna rouse up, man. All right, Judah's ready, rousing up. You see it on social media, gradually. Hell, 2020 was like a spark, then it died down. But watch, something's gonna make Judah rise up. Okay, and it's gonna be civil wars, race wars, class wars out here. All that hell's gonna break loose, an economic collapse. All right, all this is coming. Okay, then the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, then pursuing after that will be World War III, and then Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, he's going to return. All right, Yahushai. Okay, but reading this article, I already knew it was Edomites, that they were the perpetrators. Okay, and it did anger me, but yeah, I understand. Like, hey, it's judgment. Okay, but you Edomites, you have a lot to pay for, man. You Edomites, you so-called white people, you have a lot to pay for, and you will pay for it. All right. Okay. It says the body of 21-year-old DeMar Travion Trey Reed was discovered on Monday morning, prompting the university to cancel classes and campus activities. So, he was found hanged at Delta State University early Monday, prompting horror on the Cleveland, Mississippi campus. Okay. And, that's roughly it. And you already know it's Edomites that did this. Let me get a scripture. Okay. It's why a scripture say, never trust thy enemy. These devils hate you. Listen, Jake, these Edomites will never be friends with you. Esau's end is to be put in slavery, and he's going to be wiped out after 1,000 years in the kingdom of heaven. All right? They will never be your friend. They will never be your equal. They will never like you. You can't help them. They were programmed, designed to be the wicked, and they're showing it. How the elites are managing this earth, and they're doing a horrible job, destroying it. That shows you that they're the wicked. They're the basis of all men, as the scriptures say. All right, let me get a scripture. I'm talking too much. All right, let me get Ezekiel. Let me see. verse 6. I shall start verse 5. All right, and it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred Actually, let me get the blue letter. Let me read it through here. I'm reading off my scriptures out of my book. But let me get off the blue letter. I'm typing in blue, Slakia. I was on my head. I just said that. But let me get Ezekiel 35. All right. But you Edomites, hey, your time is at the end. Your time is at hand. All right. Your kingdom, your rulership is coming to an end. All right. Just look at the state of the world. It's coming to an end. Ezekiel 35, verse 5, and it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, right? Well, when we were put in slavery during the transatlantic slave trade, and you can go back many times in history, actually, during the Greek Empire, they were putting hell on us. The Roman Empire, same thing, right? Putting hell on us, taxing us, but putting hell on us, all right? Destroying our people. You know, you read the book of First Maccabees. When it goes into those wars, they were slaughtering Jake, man. All right. It said the beauty of women was brought low. It was changed. They would hang our babies if our women were caught circumcising them, because they were trying to keep us separate from our power. You know. So we couldn't follow none of the laws. We had to be Hellenized. All right, and that was through what? That Seleucid line, Antiochus, all right, and Ptolemy, but that Seleucid line, you know, they were Hellenizing us, Hellenization, practicing Greek customs, okay? But Esau was always putting hell on us, trying to destroy our people, and at times he did, you know? There's one scripture where it says Esau said, raise it, meaning burn it. When the Babylonians came in and sacked the city and put us in enslavement. Actually, what is that? Let me see. Let me get that real quick. Raise it. Right. Psalms 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. You see? Even when we came out of Egypt by the hand of Moses, all right? Who came at us first? The Amalekites. Who Amalek is a grandchild of Esau. So they're Edomites. They came at us, they came and met us with swords. Okay? So they will always be our enemy. Scripture says to never trust thy enemy. What's that in 2nd Esdras? Ecclesiasticus. All right, let me get that. I'm in my scriptures. Let's go and get in here. 2nd Esdras chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Right? Iron will always rust. Esau will always be wicked. He will always hate you, Jakes. He is our natural born enemy. Okay? I'm going to get that word enemy real quick. Ooh, let's get that word enemy definition. A person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. Right. Esau is always at odds with us Israelites. And man, just going back, 70 years ago, we couldn't walk the same street. We couldn't go in the same bathroom. Esau will really hang us. That's what I said, in Ezekiel 35, verse 5, it said, therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare, because thou hast said, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the time of their calamity, right? Naming all those time periods, and especially when we were put in slavery during the transatlantic slave trade, right? Esau's put in total hell on all tribes. And the time that their iniquity had an end, and when we came out of slavery, really we didn't. It was just a transfer of enslavement. Our emancipation. We still got Native Americans on reservations, even though they claim to be sovereign. But you're still in the weakest part, all right, the most less fertile part you have the most less fertile part of land in America. Okay. You know, the Negroes were emancipated, transfer of government. Okay. But even then, Jake will build cities and they will actually flourish because, you know, we're Israel. All right. We're always going to flourish and prosper. But Esau will get envious, have that spirit of Cain, because that's what he goes back to. Ultimately, that serpent in the garden. And he would destroy the cities, destroy Israelite communities, destroy Israelites, okay? You know, hang us, lynch us. That's when the Ku Klux Klan was made after, you know, we got out of enslavement in 1865, all right? And it says, therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Right. So you're going to get a recompense. All right. That's what's going to happen. Recompense. Let's get this word. Recompense. Make amends to someone for loss or harm. Suffer. Compensate. Okay. Reimburse. Right. Repay. So we're going to repay you. What you did unto us, we are going to repay you. You're going to be put in slavery, but yet after 1,000 years, you will get no mercy. The other heathens, they'll be let free. They'll be under us, tributaries, but you'll be the only nation to be, you know, destroyed forever. Okay. What does recompense mean in the Bible? A return or a reward for something done or suffered, which can be a just punishment for sin or a divine reward for faithfulness and good deeds. Woo! The word shalom is often translated as recompense and implies a balancing or payment, whether it is a tangible item, a benefit, or even a consequence, right? So that was that. Now I want to get this post because these certain nations, hey, they're collapsing, man. All right, they're collapsing. It's lucky at me. Can't even go on my thing. Bear me 1 second. All right. These certain nations are collapsing, man. Okay. Nepal, France, and Japan. 3 collapses, 3 days, 3 nations: Nepal, France, Japan. All right, coincidence or the first signs of a worldwide political storm? Right, because ultimately these elites, they got an agenda to push to create their new world order, you know, establish it. Which, you know, they won't get very far because Yahweh Shai is going to dismantle all that, establish his kingdom, a righteous kingdom forever. All right. It says Nepal, France, and Japan are, let me start at the beginning. In just 72 chaotic hours, 3 governments collapsed: Nepal, France, and Japan. Not small nations, not insignificant leaders, especially Japan. All right. I mean, of course, France as well, but they've been, been having riots for many years now. But in Japan, I believe it's like, let me see, let me chat GPT it, like Japan's economic, Slovakia. Let's go over some history in Nineveh. Let me see, what is Japan's economy compared on the world, compared to, how should I word it? Compared on the worldwide economics. Hope I worded that right. We'll just see what chat, gives us. What is Japan's economy compared, I should have said too, but compared on the worldwide economic system? All right, here's a summary of how Japan's economy compares in the global system, its strengths, weakness, status. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Japan is one of the largest economies in the world. Its GDP nominal is about 4.19 to 4.2 trillion US dollars. In purchasing power parity, PPP, or triple P terms, Japan's economy is even larger. It places roughly 5th globally, both in nominal GDP and triple P. All right. comparison with other major economies, it trails behind the United States and China by a large margin in raw size. More recently, Japan has dropped to the fourth largest economy by nominal GDP because Germany's economy overtook it. On per capita GDP, Japan is wealthy, so it was actually third, but Germany overtook it. But it's not in the absolute top tier among all countries. Per capita wealth reflects a high standard of living, but also shows limits compared to smaller, richer countries. Okay, strengths: advanced, diversified economy. Japan is strong at technology. Oh, they're way ahead of us. Manufacturing, especially automobiles, electronics, precision, machinery, and research and development. Strong institutions and infrastructure, good governance, infrastructure, strong legal systems, high education, and public health contribute to stability. Global trade presence. Japan remains a major exporter and has many globally competitive firms, large external assets, reserve holdings, and it has large foreign exchange reserves and is a net creditor in many respects. All right, I'm not going to get to the whole thing. I'm really not. Okay, but let's go back. Let's go into the weaknesses and challenges. All right. So it says, damn, fuck. How they just, goddamn. Okay, it says, but three countries whose falls carry signals for the entire world. Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Ali resigned after waves of mass protests swept across the country. Right, these Gen Z protesters protesting because of one, they were trying to get rid of many social media platforms, which I agree. Yeah, get rid of that because all that does is spread degeneracy, anyways. All right, and then after the fact, they want to talk about how the living, the living situation is over there. All right, that should have been their forefront. That shows you that these new age, these Gen Zs, all right, all they care about is folly. That should have been at the forefront of their protests, is their living situations. But they literally protested because the prime minister was prohibiting social media in his country. All right. And then, some civilians died, like 19, I believe. But yeah, he fled the country. The streets filled with anger over corruption and mismanagement, showing that when trust is gone, power vanishes overnight. And this is all being set up, man. Okay? All right? Because all these world countries, these worldwide economies are going to fall. France, President Emmanuel Macron's government crumbled after Parliament. I got a tongue twister. I know the word, but I just got a tongue twister for some reason. Parliamentary defeats, protests, and deep fractures inside his leadership. France, already boiling with economic unrest and rising tension over foreign policy, is now in one of the worst crises of his presidency. And there's been so many protests in that country for many years now. All right, what's that in Second Esdras? Chapter. Let me get to the point. All right, and it says, Second Esdras 9 verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? You're seeing that earthquakes and many uproars, protests. Then shalt thou will understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Right? You see? Hold on. What the hell? I was bugged out. Hold on, Salakia. Salakia about that. Because I'm in my apartment lounge and the TV just randomly turned on. All right, but let's continue. Right, you have so many protests happening all around the world. All right, 2020 was like the craziest at its highest peak. Okay, but you look at France, especially in Paris, it's ruined. It's torn down. That city's a mess. All right, or that province, I should say. That place is a mess. In Japan, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's entire cabinet resigned, triggered by economic pressure, political scandals, and falling public trust, the world's third largest economy, now fourth, suddenly faces leadership voids, destabilizing not just Japan, but Asia's balance of power. You see? 3 nations, 3 collapses, 1 global shockwave. When power breaks in clusters like this, history tells us it's rarely random. It's often a sign of a shifting global order, right? Yeah. This is all planned, you know? This is all planned because these devils, man, they have an agenda to what? To create their new world order, all right? To bring in the microchip, okay? Set up their smart cities, all right? You see? Esau has a plan, man, all right? And he's moving quickly. You know, you look at Trump, he's moving quickly, man. This man hasn't even been in office for a year, and he's done so much, okay? This man has a plan to bring in his new order, but yet it's going to be dismantled by who? All right, by Yahweh Shai. All right, once World War III pops off, all right, Russia is going to step in. You know, that's the main opposition to America and obviously NATO. That's why they were created. All right. You know, fight this beast, you know, ultimately America, okay? Shoot off their missiles. But once Yahweh Shai returns, he's going to dismantle all these world leaders, all right, these elites ultimately. Put them all in slavery, the rest, along with the rest of the heathens, establish his kingdom, okay? Job chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, their new order, because that's what they want to establish. You see? Yahweh Shai is, that's the first verse, or in the beginning of the first verse, when it says he, that's Yahweh Shai. Disappointed the devices of the crafty. What is their, their devices, all right, of the crafty? Esau, Edom, his whole agenda, his whole MO. All right, their plans, so that their hands could not perform the enterprise, their new order, all right, their fourth industrial revolution, okay, their new system they want to implement, compromise, that's going to be implemented with this RFID chip, to track, to surveil, to ultimately enslave the whole world. But it's not going to come to fruition. They'll only go so far. Scriptures even say he has bounds he cannot pass. This devil won't go any further. This real quick. Job 14 verse 5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right, his kingdom, once it's up, that's it. He won't go a day longer or a second longer. And America is going to get nuked by nuclear missiles from Russia and all these other countries, even their own allies. Because it says in Revelation 17, how they're going to hate the whore. All right, ultimately, America is once upon a time their allies, but they're going to hate this place and send off missiles of their own, nuclear missiles to annihilate this place, okay? But yeah, you see these 3 countries falling apart, and hey, it's going to be many more. And this is the beginning, all right? It's not like, it's just in ruin. It's not like, no, everything has a gradual, order. It doesn't just happen in one night. But watch, over the next few days, months, we're going to see more things in the news. So keep your eye out, your eye on these different countries. Just keep your eye on the news, period. All right? You see? And America's crumbling. All right? So I just want to go over these few things. So, hopefully it was edifying. Give it all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? On to the next one. Shalom.